Hi, my name is Preeti Vilku. I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator. This presentation is for APN 705 online research and advanced research methods. Today's topic is role of vitamin D in insulin resistance. Little bit of information about myself. As you can see, my certifications in diabetes educator. Currently, I am a candidate for Masters of Science in Applied Nutrition, and my graduation date is April of 2019. The objectives of this presentation is that participants will be able to understand what is vitamin D, what is prediabetes, relationship between vitamin D and insulin resistance, reasons for the research study, and the topic of my research study is does correcting levels of low vitamin D help improve hemoglobin A1C in college students with prediabetes. And under that, I will also discuss the design of the study, the population, how would I collect the data, ethical considerations, and expected outcome. So let's get started. What exactly is vitamin D? It's a fat-soluble vitamin. It's present in very few foods, for example, fish and butter. Some foods are fortified with it, mostly milk or dairy, I should say. And under dairy, cheese, milk, yogurt, ice cream, and there are some cereals that are also fortified with the vitamin D. And also with the sun, with the help of sun, our skin also can produce vitamin D. And then anything less than 30 nanomoles per liter is considered deficiency of vitamin D. What is prediabetes? When any blood glucose which is higher than normal but not high enough to be considered as diabetes, it's prediabetes, because the word pre means before the full-fledged diabetes. There are three ways we can diagnose somebody with the prediabetes. Hemoglobin A1C, this gives us average blood sugar of previous 3 months or previous 90 days. And anything between 5.7 and 6.4, or fasting plasma glucose between 100 and 125, along with the oral glucose tolerance test between 140 to 199 is considered prediabetes. Anything above that range is considered diabetes. There are so much research available, and this is just some of the research I was able to put together. Because of the time constraints, we can't go over all the research. By the way, all the reference at the end of the presentation, if anyone is interested in reading more about all these research articles, they are all available in the references section. So there were 3 articles that concluded vitamin D deficiency is a risk factor for glucose intolerance, either by interfering with the insulin sensitivity or beta cell functions. So one of the key factor for development of insulin resistance is chronic inflammation. And vitamin D is anti-inflammatory agent which prevents the inflammation, and that's how indirectly it helps with lowering the risk of prediabetes and ultimately type 2 diabetes. Like I said, it also helps with the beta cell functions that ultimately helps improve insulin sensitivity of the target cells. There was a study that when the serum levels of vitamin D were raised from 25 to 75, 60% improvement was seen in insulin sensitivity, which is huge. Another study in African Americans with the type 2 diabetes, when the levels were raised by 9 points, the A1C dropped more than by 1%. And a study in insulin resistance women, when they were given 4,000 units per day for 6 months, it helped improve the insulin resistance as well. So there is a relationship, as we can see, between vitamin D and insulin resistance. What are my reasons for to do this research study? More than 84 million adults over the age of 18 have prediabetes, which means 1 in every 3, and that is close to 34% of the adult US population. Medical cost and work lost and wages for people with diabetes. The yearly cost is $327 billion. And the medical cost is more than double for people who have diabetes compared to who don't have diabetes. And as far as vitamin D deficiency goes, billion people worldwide. That's B with the billion. And here in the US, almost 42% of the population is vitamin D deficient. And then 30 to 50% of all children and adults are deficient with vitamin D. And African Americans and Hispanics are at a high risk for vitamin D deficiency, and that may be the reason why diabetes is the risk for diabetes is higher in that population as well. So my research study, the reason I want to do it in college students, there is a gap in the literature while I was doing my research when it comes to college students. So I want to see if we can correct the vitamin D levels in college students who have deficiency and have prediabetes, what happens to their A1C. So my design is a single-blinded randomized control, and I will be dividing the population, student population, into 2 groups. The experimental group and the control. Experimental will get to 4,000 units of vitamin D for 6 months, and the control will get the placebo. The age would be 18 to 24 who have prediabetes and low levels of vitamin D, less than 30 nanogram per milliliter, and their A1C will be between 5.7 and 6.4. And then I will be collecting both qualitative and quantitative data. We will be doing blood work 3 times throughout the study before to start the study, and then 3 months later and 6 months later. They will also be, all the participants will also be providing a 3-day, 24-hour dietary recall, a food log, and then they'll have a consultation with the registered dietitian to make sure that they avoid any food with vitamin D and suntans while participating in the study. The ethical considerations for the study, they will be signing a written consent agreement for the blood work, and then they will be treated with respect and dignity. They can leave the study anytime they wish to. Their the study will be presented to UCF Ethics Committee, and all the participants will be followed up closely for any unwanted effects from injection site. And my hope is that at the end of the study, the experimental group who did receive supplements of vitamin D will show improvement in their hemoglobin A1C. The conclusion of the study is diabetes is an expensive disease. Vitamin deficiency is prevalent in more than 40% of the US population. And vitamin D has shown to be effective with the insulin resistance, and research in this population is imperative and can help lower the risk of prediabetes and ultimately diabetes. Thank you so much, and these are my references.